Welcome, James. Thanks for talking to us today about online fulfilment.
Fantastic to be here. Thanks, Emma.
So online has been a feature of retail for some time now. What's the market up to in terms of a logistics perspective?
Well, it's been amazing. I mean, over 10 years really in terms of online retail at volume. And we've seen significant changes over that time. We've also, of course, seen the pandemic where we saw volumes spike and things are heading back to whatever a new normal is, which has been really interesting. But from a logistics perspective, we've seen sort of the evolution of retailers who've got an online presence, but also bricks and mortars often starting to deliver from stores and using that model right through to then, of course, online fulfilment centres and very highly automated facilities being able to deliver products. So, it's been an incredible transition over that period of time that we've seen from that delivery perspective. But the other thing that's changed a lot is, what's the customer promise in terms of how quickly they want their product? Do they want to pay a delivery fee or not? Most of us don't, but sometimes we need to. And, is it same day, next day, all of those sorts of considerations. So we've really seen the market expand and mature across all of those dimensions, which has been fantastic.
You mentioned store versus dedicated facilities. What are some of the issues to consider?
Yeah, so obviously starting when you had lower volumes in stores, if you had stores, was a really good place. You had one source of inventory. From a systems perspective, it was relatively easy to do. And as long as you didn't have big volumes, then it didn't really interrupt the customer experience. So they weren't getting, hit by trolleys and stuff picking in the aisles. So that is a good place to start. But as volumes increase, that impact on the customer experience increases, but it's also a relatively inefficient way of picking product, very labour intensive. And so depending on the service promise, depending on the product profile, people start to hit these tipping points where it makes sense to really look at more dedicated facilities, whether it be a dark store or an online fulfilment centre. So we've sort of seen that maturing as well as volumes have increased.
So inventory sounds like a critical consideration. What are some of the key questions?
Yeah, so in the in-store model, you've got one source of inventory, and so if you're overstocked, you're able to clear it. If you're understocked, well, that goes on back order, or you aren't satisfying that customer. But as soon as you go into a online fulfilment centre, you've got multiple sources of inventory, so that drives a lot of different policy decisions. What do you do when you're understocked? How do you clear overstock? And so really being able to improve, the systems to be able to plan much more efficiently, to be able to optimise the inventory becomes really important. And the other thing is, what part of your inventory might sit within an automated pick face, versus being a manual process. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made that really have a key impact on your inventory profile.
We know the technology landscape is rapidly evolving. Is this helpful?
Oh, look, the technology has been fantastic. The changes that we've seen, the proliferation in, different service providers, different technology options from, conveyors right through to robots has been amazing. And anyone who's had a chance to see some of the automated facilities, it I think reflect as well how incredible they are. So there's that dimension which has been very helpful, and it also has been able to provide better flexibility. So small items, larger items, etc. But sitting behind that is really where we've seen sort of the rise of artificial intelligence to be able to say, okay, well now within this facility, what's the best place to hold our inventory? How much of it do we need? And all of that based on customer data is really impressive. So both of those dimensions of technologies helping us to improve service and reduce cost.
So James, I'm an online retailer. What do I do if I'm looking at online fulfilment issues?
Yeah, so obviously depending where you're coming from, but start with your customers is always the first point. What are we selling today? What sort of products? Where are our customers? Is that likely to change into the future? Is the product profile going to be different? All of those elements are really important starting points. And then, there are some key decisions. For example, is it same day, 3-day delivery, all of those, because that sort of impacts where you might locate some of your facilities and of course the product profile. So starting with that strategic piece is most important, because then you can start to work through what are the options, and some are viable under different circumstances and some aren't. And so really going through that structured process. The goal though is to ensure that you're able to deliver that customer promise, obviously at the lowest cost. So the objectives are pretty clear in that sort of a review.
Where can Trace assist?
We've got a lot of experience in helping clients work through some of these issues. We've got a range of diagnostic tools and business case templates and knowledge of the systems and the options which we can bring to the table. But given the strategic nature of these decisions, it's really important to work very closely with our customers as we go through this process. So we start with a diagnostic, really working through then a business case and a roadmap to say, okay, well, how do we get from where we are to where we want to be, and what are the best pathways to take, at the same time as looking at risk. Because obviously, if you're going to spend a lot of money on infrastructure, you need to be very clear about the risks that might give rise to. So really working through that process with our clients.
Some incredible insights there. Thank you so much, James.
Thanks, Emma. Been fantastic.